Hello everybody and welcome back to Spooky Spirits of Japan episode 2. It's been a while. Last time we talked about the kappa, a type of yokai, Japanese folklore monster, which is very very dangerous. It can drown you in the river, eat your flesh and trick you, but it can also be a very helpful animal or yokai. So if you want to find out more about the kappa first, then you can click up here, or actually up here, I always forget which side it is, and find out more about the kappa. But today we are going to talk about a very very special yokai, and that is the Rokurokubi. It's a little bit tricky to say, but it's a very very special one. The Rokurokubi actually looks completely human, and that makes them even more scary because you can't really figure out who is just normal and who is a Rokurokubi. In most of the cases, a Rokurokubi is a female yokai, but there have been some sightings of male Rokurokubi as well. Even though the Rokurokubi itself is not that scary and not that dangerous, their tale is very very tragic. So let's dive right into it. Most yokai tales, so folklore tales in Japan, started popping up in the Edo period, but they sometimes have root in way earlier time periods. In case of the Rokurokubi, tales about it didn't start showing up or being heard in Japan until the Edo period, and it has been suggested that it's actually a fabricated tale to scare people into staying inside their houses past midnight. Now, what's so special about the Rokurokubi is that they appear as normal human women during the day, oftentimes not even aware about the other side that they possess. But when they go to sleep, their necks start stretching and getting longer and longer, way beyond what is humanly possible, and they're also known as pulley necks. While the Rokurokubi is asleep, or like while the woman is asleep, but the head stretches, like the neck stretches, and the head, the Rokurokubi leads its own life, and it's like catching insects and rodents and like moving around like crazy and oftentimes also licking lamp oil. It's something they really like, apparently. I don't know why. And sometimes they might even bite humans who are out too late. Not all women though turn into Rokurokubi, so that leaves the question, how did somebody become a Rokurokubi? Were they born like it, or something else happened? Well, Rokurokubi aren't born, they're made, kind of. So oftentimes when you would encounter Rokurokubi, it is a woman that had been cursed in some way or another. And there's this really famous tale that I'm going to tell you now about how a Rokurokubi comes into existence. So the tale about how a Rokurokubi comes to be starts with a Buddhist monk named Kaishin. This monk Kaishin cast his vows aside, married the love of his life, and ran away with her. That woman's name was Oyotsu. After running away together, Oyotsu unfortunately fell ill, very very ill, and it would take all of the money they had to get her medicine and cure her. Rather than using all of their money, Kaishin decided to kill her instead so he could keep the money. On his further travels, Kaishin cast away his wife, much like he cast away his Buddhist vows earlier. He slept with an innkeeper's daughter, and at night, when they were in bed, that innkeeper's daughter turned out to be a Rokurokubi, whose neck started stretching and getting longer and longer until she was completely changed, and her face was actually that of Oyotsu, Kaishin's murdered wife, the wife that he murdered. Kaishin got very very disturbed by the events of that night and felt really really bad. So in the morning he went to the innkeeper and confessed all of his wrongdoings. The innkeeper, however, wasn't the saint either. He too had killed his wife, took her money and used it to open up the inn that he was running at that time. This just goes to show that karma always catches up with you. Because of the wrongdoings of that innkeeper, his daughter turned into a Rokurokubi as a curse. Essentially, she was cursed by her father's wrong deeds. And because becoming a Rokurokubi was oftentimes because of a curse or somebody's wrongdoings, it was a shameful thing. Therefore, there were many families out there in Japan who forced female Rokubi out of their family, forced them to commit suicide, or sold them to brothels or circuses if they found out that they were a Rokurokubi. The fate of a Rokurokubi is actually quite tragic, isn't it? There is, however, one other type of Rokurokubi, like maybe an earlier version, if you will, and that one is called the Nuke-kubi. So they don't have a neck at all, just their body and then their heads. That's it. You really had to be careful not to encounter one of these because you might not survive it. They are after your blood and flesh after all. So the Nuke-kubis were like heads flying around at night looking for prey from who they can suck the blood and eat the flesh to survive. The tales about this Rokurokubi and the Nuke-kubi only started in the Edo period, around that period, when Japan had open trade with China. And it is believed that the tales of the Rokurokubi and Nuke-kubi are strongly influenced by other mythological creatures from those areas. For example, there's the tale of the Hitoban, or the flying head barbarian. The Hitoban's head would come off and they would fly with their ears around, catching insects and doing all kinds of weird stuff. There's also the story of the Rakuto. The Rakuto's head would also come off and float around in the sky, much like that of the Japanese Nuke-kubi. Wow, that's tongue twister. These tales became very prevalent in Japan, and once Japan closed its borders and didn't do any trade anymore with China, those tales kind of have evolved, and tales of the Nuke-kubi kind of changed a little bit and turned into that of the Rokurokubi as we know it nowadays. Initially though, a Rokurokubi's neck wasn't there, you know. Instead, the head of the Rokurokubi was connected to the body with a very thin string that attached kind of the body to the soul which was the head. That string was oftentimes mistaken for a neck, and that's how we got the notion that a Rokurokubi has a very like curved and long neck. And rather than that earlier depiction of the Rokurokubi without a real neck, just like a string attached to a head, it has now become more popular to show the Rokurokubi as having like a real neck, just really long and twisted one. So that's it today for our spooky spirits of Japan tale, the Rokurokubi and the Nuke-kubi. I hope if I ever have to encounter one of the two, it's a Rokurokubi. They'll just bite me, but I'll survive. I hope not to encounter a Nuke-kubi. And who knows, maybe I'm one myself. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this little second episode of Spooky Spirits of Japan. I have a lot more monsters, a lot more creatures to talk about, so stay tuned and keep on watching. Please kindly consider subscribing, turning on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new episodes or other videos that I upload to my channel. Also, you can become a channel member, which has huge benefits, so check this video out up here where I explain all of it. And leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much, and bye bye!